Hello, kindergarten, and welcome to another math lesson. Today, we're going to take all of the learning that we've done the last couple of days and continue to work with the number 9 and 10. We're going to focus on finding those two parts to make those numbers. Our math thinking job is I can find parts to make 9 and 10. So here we go. Let's get started.
Today our focus is to find the parts that make our total amount, our whole. So I've given you a number sentence that already gives our total amount. I'm going to read a story to you, and it's your job to decide what our two parts are going to be. Michael has 9 toy blocks. Some are large and some are small. Your teacher's going to pause the video and you guys are going to talk about how many of his blocks are large and how many are small. We've learned many ways to make 9, so my way might be different than yours, and that's okay. So I've decided that there are 7 large blocks. So I'm going to draw my 7 large blocks. And then I know that I have 9 blocks altogether, so 2 of the blocks are going to be small. I have 9 blocks altogether, 7 are large and 2 are small. I was able to know how many of his blocks were small because I used my fingers to count, because I already had 7 large blocks, and I needed to get to 9. So when I counted on my fingers, starting at 7, 8, 9, I only put up 2 fingers. That means I needed 2 small blocks. So how many blocks are in all? 9. 7 tells us about the large blocks. 2 tells us about the small blocks. Now, let's fill in our number sentence. 9 equals 7 big blocks and 2 small blocks. When I'm finding parts, as I already know my whole, I can use my drawings as well as use my fingers to help me remember how many more I need. Okay, I have a new story for you. So if you're following along, you can erase your boards. All right, this story is going to start with 9 cookies. Here we go. Susie had a plate of 9 cookies. Some were vanilla and some were chocolate. How many of each kind did she have? So our question is how many of each kind? So your job is to figure out how many do you want to be vanilla and how many do you want to be chocolate, knowing we only have 9 cookies. Do we know how many cookies we have of each kind? No. This is like the last story we just solved. There are a lot of ways that we could make the number 9. So the way that I come up with might be different than the way that you came up with. So we know that she had some vanilla and some chocolate. So I'm going to decide to do 4 vanilla and 5, well, let's see, 4. And I know that I have 9 altogether. So let me count on my fingers. I already have 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are my 4 vanillas. And I need to make it to 9. The next part is going to be my chocolate cookies. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Did you pay attention to how many fingers I had to add to my 4? I had to add 5 fingers. So that means 5 cookies are chocolate. 5 cookies are chocolate. My number sentence will be 4 plus 5 equals 9. 9 equals 4 plus 5. So what are my two parts? 4 and 5. Again, you might have made a different way.
Welcome to another math lesson.
Let's try another one. This time we are going to be working with 10 blocks. While I read my story, it's your job to decide how many are going to be one part and how many are going to be our other part to make 10. Jamal had a basket of 10 blocks. Some were white and some were gray. You're going to work this problem out to show Jamal's blocks, and then you're going to write a number sentence to match. Okay, I know that I'm starting with 10 blocks. So I'm actually going to draw out my 10 blocks, and I'm going to do it in a 5-group way. This helps me organize and know when I go back and count, I can start with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, we know that some were white and some were gray. So I'm going to make 9 of them white and 1 of them green, because I'm using a green marker. So 1 of them is going to be green. Your showing of the story might be different than mine, and that's okay, because there's many different ways to make 10, and our job was to find the parts that make 10. So this is just one way to make 10. So we have 9 white and 1 green. So our number sentence is 10 equals 9 plus 1. Again, you could also use your fingers because you know that you need 10. So if I knew that I had 9 white blocks and I want to get to 10, here's 9, counting on 10, I add 1 finger up. Remember, we count on our fingers starting with our pinky with our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember, you start with your left hand and your pinky. I know we're used to starting with our thumb, but we always want to, when we're counting in math, we start with our pinky so we can go from left to right, just like we do when we read books. All right, let's do some more practicing of finding parts for 9 and 10.
Here are my stories. Remember, we are finding the parts in these stories. Jerry has 9 baseball hats. So we are going to draw his baseball hats in a 5-group way. And then we're going to add some color to show the parts. So I have 9 hats. I'm starting with how many I started with. Jerry had 9 baseball hats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Remember, a 5-group way means you are going to start with 5 and then go to the next line. And again, your next line might not complete that 5, and that's okay. A 5-group means there should only be 5 objects in a line. Now it says color some red and some blue. So I'm going to color some red or some blue, and then I'm going to color some red. And you are going to match the number sentence to my story. So you need to discover what parts I gave you. Go ahead. All right, we know 9 is our whole. That's how many we have all together. And today our job is to find the parts. Our parts, we have 2 blue, which is 1 part, and we have 7 red, which is our other part. 9 equals 2 plus 7. Again, sometimes you will be able to use color to show your parts, and sometimes you won't. And if you don't, remember, you can always circle your group to show one of them to see the 2 parts. Okay. Anne had 10 pencils. We're going to draw these pencils in a 5-group way. We're going to color some blue and some yellow. I'm going to draw the pencils, and then you're going to match the number sentence to my pencils. So here we go. Actually, what we're going to do is I'm going to start with blue, and we'll do it that way. So I have 1, 2, let me count out loud so I give it away to you guys. I need 10 all together. Okay, now it's your turn. Match this number sentence to my story. Find the parts. Okay, again, you might have decided to circle this if you're following along. So I see that I have 4 blue pencils and I have 6 yellow pencils. So 10, which I'm starting with all together, and then my 2 parts are 4 plus 6. Okay, there are 10 apples. We're going to color some of them red and the rest of them green. And then we're going to show a different way the apples could look. So these apples are going to look one way, and these apples are going to look another. Your teacher's going to pause the video, and you guys are going to decide what are 2 different ways we could make these apples look. Okay, let me get my red out. There are a couple different ways we could have composed the number 10. Let's see if you guys did it a similar way to mine. I'm going to color 2 of them red and then the rest of them green and start thinking about, what parts did I make my first? What are my first round of parts for this number sentence? Okay. I have 2, which means one of my parts is 2, and then my other part is 8. So 10 equals 2 plus 8. This number sentence matches. All right, we got to do a different way. Again, there are a couple of different ways to compose 10. This is how I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to do, let's see, we'll do this many red. Started thinking, what are my parts? What do you think my parts will be in this number sentence? Okay, what are my parts? I know my whole is 10. I'm starting with 10 apples. Right. I have 5 red and 5 green. I was able to show you 2 different ways to make 10. Okay, now let's try 9. On this one, I'm going to circle my parts. Okay, so before I do, your teacher's going to pause the video and you guys are going to show 2 different ways to make 9. Okay, here is my first way. What are my 2 parts? My 2 parts are 6 and 3. You can see my 2 parts because I circled one of my group. I circled the group of 6. All right, now I'm going to make a different way. So we have 9 equals 6 plus 3. And now my 2 parts are 2 and 7. 2 plus 7. I know my 2 parts because I circled 2 and my other part is 7. Today in Seesaw, you're going to continue this work to showing 9 and 10 by finding those parts. Till next time, bye, Kipsters.